Hey y'all, so I am back with another video and I have my special guest again. This is not his first time here, but the first time we were in a video together, I kind of didn't introduce exactly who he was to me, and we did an interview introducing ourselves as a couple on someone else's channel. And so I just wanted to introduce him to you all and kind of give our backstory. So this is
Isaac. Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Isaac Shepard.
and he is my boyfriend. So that's why he's here today. And we're just going to be sharing our story and how we met each other. So, yeah. So we met each other at seminary school.
Yep.
Kind of, sort of. But
Kind of, sort of.
we'll give you some backstory as to how we ended up at seminary. You want to go first or me?
Yeah, I'll go. So, I started going to seminary school back in 2019 after I graduated undergrad from Texas Tech. And then after one semester, I did not like it. And so I took a year off in 2020, and then I enrolled into DTS in 2021 during the spring.
Yeah.
And so I went through first semester there. It was wonderful. Really loved it. And then summer came around, and then August came around, and came back ready for the fall semester, and started taking this SF class where I first saw this beautiful black woman walking down, and immediately I texted my friends, and I was like, man, I just saw this gorgeous woman.
Wait. We have to tell them how I got there. So, for me, I thought that I wanted to go to seminary school for a little while, and I was considering different schools from where I am from. So, there's a big seminary school in my hometown, but I knew I didn't want to go there. And I started looking schools up and people who went to different schools, and I'm like, okay, I want to go to DTS. And so I decided to just pack up all of my things and move to Dallas, despite like not really knowing anyone here. And moved here, started going to DTS, and that's how we met. And what I think is so crazy is the fact that, you know, you were going somewhere else, and then you even stopped going for a while, right? And so me considering, like, should I go to the seminary school in my hometown? But, like, we both just so happened.
Right.
Because we don't believe in coincidences.
Right.
We just so happened to end up at the same seminary. And so then you saw me.
Yep. So I was in class and just waiting for class to start. And just before class started, I just see this beautiful black woman walking down. She's wearing all black. And I remember texting my friends. I was like, man, it's a beautiful girl that just walked in class. Telling them just to tell them, like, I wasn't really gonna try to talk to her because it's just not me. Like, I'm I'm more of a shy type of person. So, but yeah, I saw her that week, and I didn't say anything to her, and I don't even think she didn't even notice me.
No, I didn't see him at all. I would have noticed you. I just didn't. I probably walked into the room before you did. Right? Because I was in the front.
She came after. You came after me.
Well, I was probably in there running in because I'm always late.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were late. And so the next week came, and I was late that week. I remember I stopped at Chick-fil-A and I was running late, but I had to get lunch. And so I walked in and I just sat in the back of the class. And I remember seeing you sitting back there on the left.
Yeah. And I saw him. I remember seeing him out of the side of my eye, and I was like, who is this? Like, he's so handsome. I have not seen him before. Because I would have noticed. Like, you were really, really handsome. Even with your mask on.
Even with my mask on.
Yeah. So, there are different leaders in those groups, and Isaac was a leader. And they were going through, like, the different groups because we were getting our group assignments. And he stands for one of the groups. I think it was like even may have been the last group they called. I don't know. But I remember I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. So his name is on the board as they're announcing the groups. And I'm like, okay, his name is Isaac Shepard. I have to see him again, right? And so the class is dismissed and we walk out.
This is where it gets weird.
Yeah. First of all, you don't agree with me. But I walked out and he was sitting outside the classroom on a bench. He was sitting outside the classroom on a bench. There's these little benches outside of that room. And I'm like, he's just like randomly sitting here alone, like not talking to anybody. And so I thought, like, I want to walk past him because I felt like you were looking at me while we were in the classroom. So I was like, I need to walk past him so that he, like, has his chance to talk to me.
See, the reason why this story doesn't make sense is because I remember looking at you when you walked outside the classroom and you looked back, and remember you felt like I was looking at you?
Yeah.
So how was I sitting on the bench?
You left when the class was, as soon as you left, you were sitting on the bench.
No.
You were sitting outside. Okay. You were sitting on the bench. But I remember thinking, because I was with my friends and they wanted to go, I forgot where we were going after that. Maybe chapel or something. I don't know. We were all walking together. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, like they're walking the wrong way because they were walking the opposite direction from like where he was sitting. And so I immediately thought like, I missed my opportunity for us to talk. And so I was like, I really want to see him again. And the next week came and we had those group meetings again. But this time the groups were separated with their leaders. And so I didn't see him and I was sad. And I was like, I have to see him. And y'all know how it is. Like, I didn't want to follow him on social media because I wanted us to have like a genuine connection and meeting. So, but I just was in my head about it, and I was like, I'm just gonna follow him. And his name online is his actual name, so he was super easy to find. And I contemplated for a while, but I went ahead and I followed you.
Mm-hmm. She stalked me, y'all.
Whatever.
She definitely stalked me.
So I followed you, and what happened? Since I stalked you, all I did was follow you. What happened?
So I get a follow, and I look at her bio. It's got, seminary school and all that. And she got some, pretty pictures and and so she posted a story, which I think she did on purpose.
I posted a reel.
She posted a reel.
Planned out.
She posted a reel of her books that she was reading for the new semester.
I purposely posted my books.
She posted a reel, and then I saw the reel, and when I looked at the books, I recognized the books because I've already taken the courses she was about to take.
Sounds like a stalker.
No.
Uh-huh.
And so I just hit her up. I replied to her reel or her story, and I was like, hey, do you go to DTS? Those books look familiar. Mm-hmm. And then she responded, and I actually waited the next day to respond.
Why'd you wait? Trying to be cool.
Trying to be cool, you can't be too
Whatever.
fast. You gotta take it easy. You gotta kind of be a little nonchalant, just kind of like aloof a little bit.
Yeah.
But
so we both attend a very large church here. So the next morning was Sunday morning, and I go to church, and I'd been to that church before. But I walk in and, Isaac saw me. I didn't see him. So
yeah, no, there was no way you were going to see me. But I was sitting down closer to the front, and I was there early, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before service started.
Yeah, he's the early one in the relationship.
Yeah, so I was just on my phone texting or just on social media, just kind of waiting around. And then I decided, since I was waiting around, I just decided to reply to her, her message on Instagram. And then I looked up, and I looked to the left, and I see this black girl walking down the aisle, and I'm like, no way, that's her. And so like all throughout the service, like immediately when I saw her, I was like, is that her? Because she's got this mask on, so I couldn't really tell. But I got on Instagram, and I was trying to look at some pictures to kind of see if I can make sense of it and see if it was her. And then so I kind of did that, not all throughout service. It was like just the beginning.
What did you preach about that day?
Beginning. I can't remember that. What do you preach about?
Of course you can't.
What do you preach about?
I don't know.
Exactly. So so I ended up finding out it was her because on your Instagram, there's like a little part in her hair. And so I was like, that's definitely her, because she got the curly hair. I was like, that's definitely her.
Yeah.
And so so then I started to think, how am I going to talk to her?
Like you did on the bench.
No. I started to think how I was gonna approach her. I thought maybe I'll just walk in that area, but I kind of didn't plan on talking to her. The only reason why I was just gonna walk, I just want you to see me.
That was what I was doing the first day.
I just want you to see me.
Oh my god.
But Courtney was with some friends that I had already met.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made it easy.
Yeah, that's who I was meeting at church. So.
Yeah. So I just walked with them, and then her name is Imani. She told Courtney that, hey, that's Isaac.
Yeah. So we all go to school together.
Mm-hmm.
I met a girl and a guy that we go to school together for church, and as we're walking out, Isaac approaches us, and I hear him say, like, you were like, Imani, like that was his in, to talk to someone who I was walking with.
Easy.
And I remember looking back and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's the guy that DM'd me. And then he was like, I think we were just talking, and I'm like, don't bust me out that we were just DMing each other. What's also funny is that Isaac was talking to someone as we were walking by, and you like cut them off, and we're like, I gotta go. I have to go talk to this girl. I'm sorry. See y'all later.
So as soon as service concluded and we dismissed, I got up and I was like, okay, I gotta like time this correctly so it doesn't look obvious. But I'm walking over there, and then I ran into some other students,
mm-hmm.
and we just started chit chatting and things like that. But it started to go longer than I expected. I was like, okay, I was trying to be nice, and I promise I did it in a nice way, but I was like, okay, I'm meeting some people here. Let me go make sure I catch up with them. I said something like that.
Yeah.
But I kind of got out of it smoothly. Without disrespecting them. But
that's great.
Yeah.
So we were walking together as we're leaving church. We're walking, we're talking, and I mean, I think the whole time I was kind of thinking, like, are you going to talk to me? Were you thinking the same thing?
I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it, because it's just, for some reason, talking to women has never just been something I just did, like, easy.
I love it.
So, like, I started talking to, his name is Jeremiah, a real cool guy. I met him, and then we kind of started to separate between me and Jeremiah started talking, and then Courtney and Imani kind of started walking ahead. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I was actually, like, trying to focus on what Jeremiah was telling me. I was like, like, he was a pretty cool guy. And then, but at the same time, I'm thinking, like, okay, how am I going to talk to her? They kind of walking away, and I was like, this is just going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen this time.
Aww.
And so, but thank God, Jeremiah was like, I need to talk to Imani, because they had crossed the street. And, like, I was like, yeah, it's just not going to happen today. Mm-hmm. But Jeremiah needed to walk over there and talk to Imani, and so I ended up going with him, right? Yeah. And so I'm just really just flowing at this point. I'm like, it's nothing is really intentional. I'm just kind of going with the flow. And then so we just in a group, in a circle, in the parking lot, we just talking. Mm-hmm. And really I was holding the conversation, which is not something I normally do. I'm more of a introvert.
It's like, oh, this guy, he's such a leader and he's handsome.
Right. So, like, I was kind of like, I was in my bag. I was just talking. I was just like having conversation, where y'all from, how y'all liking class so far. And we was just conversating, and then I felt the weight of the conversation on me, because when I stopped talking, everybody just like kind of paused. I was like, okay, it's on me.
They don't do us like that.
It's on me.
Yeah.
And so, so then it got to the point to where I was like, okay, how am I gonna get her number without making this like obvious? And I came up with a perfect plan. I was like, yeah, we definitely should connect. Let me get all of y'all numbers so we can, connect and go
all
eat and things like that. And I love Jeremiah and Imani, but at the moment, I was really trying to get Courtney's number.
Yeah, we love them. We love them.
And so, I intentionally, Courtney was like right next to me, and so I intentionally to make it not look like I was really trying to just get her number. Mm-hmm. I got her number last. Mm-hmm. Like, I started with Imani, and then I went to Jeremiah, and then I was like, And then I gave her my phone to put her number in it, and that's how we started talking.
That's how we started talking.
Yep.
And then I think you called me that night.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm kind of putting myself out there. I guess I was stalking a little bit too. So
Exactly.
I was looking at her Instagram,
Yeah.
and I think maybe it was on Instagram or YouTube, and somehow I found out that Courtney was a travel nurse.
Oh, yeah.
And so that immediately was an easy way to start a conversation via text. I was like, hey, I noticed that you're a traveling nurse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's your story? How'd you end up at seminary school from a traveling nurse? And then I remember she texted this long thread, and I was like, okay, cool. She seemed like a cool girl, like conversational. And so she wanted to ask me about my life story.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I was like, I'd rather call and talk to you about it. And so we ended up talking that evening. Mm-hmm. And then we just kind of had like a decent, friendly conversation. Yeah. I kind of threw some little hints in there that I was interested, but she couldn't
I was like,
tell.
do you like me? Like, he was like, you're beautiful. You're just, but I'm like, am I like a beautiful sister in Christ? Or like, do you like me?
So I was giving her Christian brotherly vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
I threw some hints in there.
Yeah. And that's kind of how everything started. And I think, the gist of our connection, it was just that we shared so many our belief systems. Mm-hmm. And that was a struggle that I'm sure both of us have had in the past. Definitely. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but trying to force relationships where we don't have the same religious beliefs, or we're just not on the same page, or people are nominally a Christian. They're Christian by name, but then they're not actually living it out. And what stood out to me so much about you is that you said these things, but you lived these things. Right. And so I just thought that was so attractive. I wasn't even planning on meeting anybody, but I was like, he just fits everything that I have ever wanted. So,
and it's crazy too, because I wasn't expecting it either. So
tell them what you were expecting.
What was I expecting? Oh yeah. So I got to the point to where, so my dating life was just up. It was just all just bad. Yeah. I really didn't date anyone, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Or I didn't have a real relationship. There were a few girls that I talked to, and they were pretty cool, but it didn't work out. Whether it was my fault or their fault, either way, it just didn't work out. And I would say most of those were my fault. I would say that's what my homies would say.
That's probably what the audience assumes.
Right. So it just didn't work out, and I couldn't find anyone that fit me, that was compatible for me. I remember it got to one point where I kind of just lowered my standards, and I was like, man, just anybody at this point, I just want to date somebody. Can I just get a girlfriend? It kind of felt like God was just blocking everybody, every shot. And and me being nervous and being shy and not able to really talk to girls, that didn't help. Yeah. And I tried to do online dating and all that.
Me too. I downloaded an app for a day. I would have it a day, and then I would delete it. Then I would have it for a day, and I'm like, what am I doing on? I can't find. It's just, Lord.
I did that too. I would download them, re-download them all the time, but nothing ever worked out. And so,
because I was praying against it.
Yeah.
Across the world, just praying against it.
So it got to the point, because I went through a season of depression, and not just because of that, but because of various other things going on in my life. Yeah. I had a very disappointing athletic college career, and so that was still lingering, and so I was just lonely, and I just felt depressed, and it was just a struggle for me emotionally and mentally. Having a girlfriend is something really having a wife is something that I had desired, just to have someone that I can serve and express my love and show my love to. Right. Yeah. Especially whenever I listen to sermons a lot, and I've heard great Bible teachers teach on how a husband should love his wife
Yeah.
and what marriage is supposed to look like. The husband loving his wife as Christ loved the church. And I'm like, man, I want to obey. I want to have the opportunity to obey that command.
Yeah.
Like I want to have the opportunity to share that love of God that God has loved me with. And so I always wanted that. And for some reason, it felt like it just wasn't going to happen. So yeah, it got to the point to where I started to get better with my emotions and some of the things that I was struggling with. I know I was really struggling with pornography, and that kind of affected, that really affected my emotions because I felt like I was constantly disappointing God and disappointing myself. And so that really weighed down on me. But it got to the point where I started to make some progress and I started getting over it. Like I kind of just woke up out of this slumber of feeling depressed about not having a girlfriend and not having succeeded in track and where my life was at right now. I stopped feeling that way.
Yeah.
And I made a choice. I made a decision because
That's so good, baby.
we don't have to stay in those type of seasons. You know, sometimes I think God gives us the ability to choose. Right, and so I chose to go in a different direction, and I started to get my value back. Like I had lowered my value, thinking that man, girls just don't like me and stuff. Like it was kind of a sad deal. Like I didn't know my worth.
Yeah.
But
and I'm like I can completely relate to that. The way that I dated, I felt like I didn't know my worth either. It was like a little bit of a different story, but like dating like with the person who has no intentions of marrying me, knowing that I wanted to be married. The relationship is going nowhere. I'm just constantly questioning everything. You know, like I knew that it was pointless. I'm wasting my time, and I was settling for that or hoping that eventually there would be this turnaround. And so I can totally relate to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So once I kind of realized my worth, I was like, man, they missing out on me, you know? Like they gonna regret not talking to me, and I never wish anything bad for people who didn't give me a chance or anything like that.
Yeah, I
like,
wish the best for my past.
Yeah, I have no bitterness in my heart. You know, I hope they have a great relationship and find someone if that's what they want, if that's God's will for them. So it got to the point to where I recognized my worth and my value, and then I just started seeing things different, and I started reading some books about, you know, singleness, some books about Tony Evans, and it was hard reading those books because it was challenging, because marriage is really not a promise.
It's not. I'm
not.
so glad you said that, because a lot of people sell it. A lot of relationship coaches and things and relationship ministries, they sell it as though like you do this and you get this, and it's not a promise.
Right.
It's not.
It is God's normative plan, God's normative way of doing things.
Right.
But it's not promised. But it's certainly a privilege.
Right.
And so I didn't want to box God in and use that against God because I didn't get married and have bitterness in my heart.
Exactly.
And so it got to the point to where I kind of just let it go. And I kind of developed a different mindset toward it. And I was like, you know, maybe I'll just be single. Maybe I'll just be single for the rest of my life.
This is the thing, y'all.
He's
like 24. He's 24. He's like, I'm just done. I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, obviously. And I'm like, you're 24. But I get it.
Well, one thing that I considered was the amount of options I have, because I'm already a Christian and I'm a committed Christian. So that just shrinks my playing field down.
Yeah.
And then me being in seminary school and then being a preacher and possibly a pastor in the future, then that really shrinks it down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, I might not find anybody.
And I think that thing is it does, but there's always somebody. Like, I feel like it's a trick of the enemy to think, like, it's just me out here. I'm the only firm believer, and my God, no one my age is like me. Like, because then you're just, like, you're feeling all alone, and then you start compromising.
Yeah.
But I think that's a beautiful testament to God that, like, you feel all of these things are shrinking your options down, but he still gave us each other.
Right.
And so I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. That mindset is that's why this caught me by surprise, because and it's funny because I was always searching and always looking for somebody, and always expecting, like, I remember there were times where I was thinking in my head, there's no way God can just like surprise me, because I'm always looking for that girl. Like when I'm at church, like I always got my eyes open. Is there a 20-year-old over there, that I can talk to?
That's how it was too.
Yeah,
obsessed. Every time I left the house, I had to be looking a certain way. I might meet him. Just obsessed. Just ridiculous.
At school, around friends, like maybe I'll meet her. And so I really didn't think, and I'm a student of the Bible, and so it's crazy to think that I thought that God couldn't surprise me with a woman.
Look.
And then as soon as I stopped looking, and I started to focus, it was good because school was starting up.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed school and studying the Word. And so I was just like, man, let me focus up on this, and I started to accept the fact that I would be single. Mm-hmm. And then I met Courtney.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I didn't get to a point to where I was like, I'm definitely going to be single for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't. When I moved here, I was like, I'm going to move here and I'm ready to start dating, because I had been to a point where I was like, okay, I'm good. I feel fine. I'm not overly obsessing over the idea of dating. Mm-hmm. And I feel ready. I feel healthy enough to start looking for relationships. Because I think it's kind of like if you teach, just don't look. It's like, okay, then you're just not gonna find anyone. Like it's okay to look and have a healthy, outlook on dating, and to date responsibly and honoring God in that way. And so I was like, oh, I'm finally ready to start dating, but no. And then I met you, and it was over. But yeah, that's pretty much like our story, how we met. Yep.
So I'm so grateful for Courtney. She's a wonderful person. She's everything that I wanted in a woman. And when we were talking, the things that drew me were her godly characteristics, things that the Bible say a wife, how a wife should be, just gentle and kind and loving and soft. A lot of women are hard for various reasons, and some of those reasons are justifiable, but
and I was a hard woman, so
yeah.
I'm like, Isaac is my safe space. He prays over me, he covers me. Anytime I'm struggling with something, he literally is a covering. That's our story. But you all will be seeing a lot more of Isaac. I'm sure you'll be back on my channel. We'll do more studies together and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. In the comments below, leave us what you would like to see us do. Like, what else would you like to hear us talk about next? Do you have any more questions or anything like that? Leave those below. And then also, his social media and my social media will be in the description box as well. So,
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye. We'll see y'all next time.